Okay, so we'll make this part 2. I forgot that you can only upload 15 minutes on YouTube, so I'll try to get the rest of this little video here done within the 15-minute time frame that I have left while the other one is getting ready for preview. As I said, what if we have Audrian show up at the Hollyhock Inn and decide to interview Sheldon Mars? What she finds is a man who's truly hidden himself away, even pretends that he's not who he is, and that he's the caretaker of the inn. And we see the interaction between this young woman who has come to interview the great man, the man himself who is bitter in his own way and still the sarcastic sort of asshole that he always was in life, and the interaction between them and the ghost that they can't see, Lewis, who is very funny and very sarcastic and very biting and has lots of comments about Sheldon and lots of comments. But another thing you can also see about him is that even in death, he still loves Sheldon Mars. And that comes in many times. And then you have the thread that runs through the whole thing, which is the song that he just can't seem to get out. And mixed in with all that, you have 9 other songs. Songs such as Invisible Man, which is Lewis's song, where he expresses the fact that he was invisible in life. Sheldon never really saw him for who he really was, and that he was just Sheldon's helper. He always sat in the audience at the shows and applauded during the curtain calls, and then waited out in the hall with the coats, and how Sheldon never really paid attention to him. And another facet of this is that the young woman, Audrian, who comes to interview Sheldon Mars, also has ghosts in her past. Not ones that are actually there showing up and talking to us like Lewis, but things that haunt her from her past. And these things begin to come back to her and come clear to her when she begins to delve into Sheldon's past and into his reasons for locking himself away. So you have these 3 people, one of whom the other 2 can't see and who we can see, who are picking at and poking at each other and delving into each other's skeletons in the closet. And the one skeleton that's not actually in the closet, that is behind everybody. And you have the song that just won't die, the song that keeps going, and the song that he can't ever get out. And he doesn't get out until near the end of the show. And you have this mixture, and this is the pot that I began to stir, and it turned out to be a pretty good little stew, and I think everybody's going to find it extremely interesting. But that tends to be how I work. I mean, an idea will come to me sometimes, it'll be just maybe just a little germ of an idea, and it begins to expand, it begins to grow, and it sprouts life, and the next thing you know, it begins to fill out, and then I start filling it out, and then sometimes song ideas will come to me, and I'll notice, well, this song will fit into the show. I had written a song, I'd written lyrics for a song called Hollow, which actually was the very first song lyrics that I sent Andy when we started working together. And he wrote a beautiful, beautiful music to it, and Hollow became a very, very good song. And I thought, this is a great song for this show. And that's when I told Andy, I said, you just wrote the first song for this new show that I'm working on called Unseen Angels. And that's when I discovered that Andy really loves theater, and that's where he feels his talent lies, which I feel definitely the case. So I started working on some other songs. Then Invisible Man came along, and then the one song which I'm not going to mention, because I want everybody to wait and see, because that song doesn't show up till near the end of the show, but it's a song that's actually quickly becoming the smash hit of the show. But and then other songs came along. I wrote a song called 3 a.m. and Faking It, which is actually a dual song. It's a song that Adrian and Sheldon do together. Sheldon is talking about the fact that it's at 3 a.m. each morning, he's lying looking at the ceiling, and he can't get past the fact that it's 3 a.m. and it's still the same every day. And Adrian is talking about faking it, the fact that she's faking her way through life. She's faking being happy, faking having a life, and these two songs blend together and are actually done while they're having a conversation, and they step out of the conversation and do these numbers. We're seeing the numbers and we're hearing the numbers. They don't actually hear each other doing this, and then they fall back into the conversation when they get through. And we've written several songs. A lot of these songs are interwoven in that. Adrian has a wonderful song later in the show called Bittersweet Lullaby. And these are all things, these things all come along. You come along with the idea, you get maybe songs come along. Like I say, Hollow actually came before the show did, but fit perfectly into the show as far as I was concerned. But all these songs and all the movements in the show come together, and they give you one continuous story that is full of everything that life is full of. It's full of love and loss and sadness and happiness and bitterness and longing and trying to find your way back and trying to find what you've lost and trying to keep from losing everything else that you have. And it's maybe a resolution, but the main point is there are unseen angels, which is the title song and the finale song of the show. There are unseen angels. Into each and every life come unseen angels. And I firmly believe that. I believe there are a lot of things that come to us. I think there are many of us, I know, hear little voices, our inner conscience or whatever. I feel that maybe those little voices are actually unseen angels saying, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to go in that direction? Do you really want to make this leap of faith, or do you want to continue down a better path? Or maybe, why are you holding back? Why don't you make that leap of faith? You hear those little voices, and how do we know they're not unseen angels telling us, maybe you should go this way, maybe you should go, when you're walking down the street and you don't know where you're going, and you come to a corner, you come to a crossroad, and you can go left or right or forward, you can turn around and go back in the direction you came. You have those choices. I feel that every day there are choices we make, and those choices have a lot to do with what happens to our lives from that point. They may be the simplest of choices, they may be the most complicated of choices, but when we come to that crossroads, which way we go will greatly depend on what happens to us, at least in the near future and maybe even in the distant future. It's like I told someone one time, what if you come to that crossroad? You have the choice going left, right, forward, back. what happens if you thought about, well, what happens if you go left? You go left and you get hit by a bus and you're dead. You go right, you find a sack full of money, and you have a lot more money and a lot easier life than you had before. You go forward and you meet the person that you're intended to be with for the rest of your life, or at least for years to come, and you have a happy life. You go back and maybe nothing happens at all. You just go back to whatever you left before you walked to this crossroads. So there are so many things that could happen every time you come to a crossroad, every time you come to a place in life where there's a choice, and the choice you make makes a difference in what happens to your life. And that's, as much as anything, what Unseen Angels is about. The choices we make and the results of those choices. So watch Andy's video. It's interesting to watch a genius composer work, and I think he is a genius composer. He's a great, great composer. I think he has absolutely no idea how good he really is. But I do. I have an idea of how good he really is, and I'm enjoying working with him. And he seems to enjoy working with me. And now you know maybe a little bit more about how I think and how I work. And when I write lyrics, I then send them to Andy or to Thomas Lee Horner, who's one of my other composing partners, or to whatever composer I'm working with at the time on a particular show or a particular set of songs or whatever. And sooner or later, and with both Tom and Andy, both of them work fairly fast, and it's amazing how I remember when I sent Hollow to Andy, it was hardly any time at all he sent me back the first demo. Andy tends to say he'll send me a demo, and then I'll give him a little input on it, and he'll go back and maybe do more, and then the next thing he puts orchestration in and changes little things here or there, and if he doesn't like it, he'll change it. Andy's very much a perfectionist. If he's not happy with something, he'll go back and work it over again, and he'll do that as many times as he needs to, and sooner or later we come around with a finished product. And I like the demos that he does. I think Andy has a good voice. He sounds a lot like Elton John to me. I don't know. And I think maybe he's a better composer than Elton, and that's saying a lot because I think Elton John's a great composer. But anyway, that's the way I work, that's the way we work, that's the way things tend to work in our world. And yes, you can write good stuff without being in the same room with the person you're writing with. Thomas Lee Horner is in Ringgold, Georgia. He was only a mile away from the hurricane, from the tornado that tore up the town and killed several people. Fortunately, there was a hill between him and the tornado, and he's perfectly fine, he and his wife Eve, and I'm more than happy about that. And Andrew Pincus is in London, 5 hours later than me. It's now 5:30 in the morning there. It's only 12:30 here. We're not in the same room together. We don't work in the same rooms together, but we turn out good quality music. So yes, it is possible. Yes, you can work that way. And yes, we do. And yes, we hope you love it. So I hope you enjoyed hearing more about this. I hope it didn't bore you to death. And keep listening to the music. Be watching for the shows. They're going to be coming soon. And I think you'll enjoy those even more than the song. So once again, this is A. Michael Storm, the Old Story Wizard, 1948, saying more later, over and out.